on to our Tuesday, and one of our people, Deb and Dahlia, we've been doing this really on a Tuesday. We go up and down because we've been going through this, I guess, personal growth every week because that's what we need actually daily, not only weekly, but probably for the last 17 years when we actually started this Tuesday morning program. So we actually learned in different people's houses, and as things change, I say, it's amazing because life takes us on our cycle and we go from one thing to the next. And the truth is that what we're doing is reminding ourselves of the process that we're in. This morning, I'm just looking for a name, so sorry. Okay, so this morning we are davening very, very, very hard for the situation in Eretz Israel. We all know where we are, and we need to be aware of what it is that's going on and where we all really are. And I think that anything that we have to recognize for ourselves that whatever it is that we do at any level has a hashpah, has an effect on the entire world around us. Okay, so on everybody, wherever we are in the world, this is what it is. It has an effect on who we are, what we are, and actually how we can change other people really around us. And that's what it is. So we know that at every moment that we change a decision on how we behave, what we think, how we work, ben Adam Lachavera, how we really connect is so important to us. There's also Deborah and Emma here on my screen. And we just lost Emma, but I hope she'll be back. There we go. We're coming in person, Emma. Yay! Good morning. We together also in Manchester. As you can see, the Manchester office has joined us. Oh, look at that. And Deborah's joined us as well in person. There we go. Always nice to have people in person. Well, at least on face screen. So where we are, when we understand the things that we do and how we do it, that it really has an effect on everybody around, we only have to really worry about who we are, where we are, and what we're going to be doing in the world that we're living in. Now, right now, and I've shared this before, but I'm going to share it again because I think that it is such an important part of recognizing who we are and how Hashem works, and how he is literally able to pinpoint what each and every one of us actually needs. And it's already 2 weeks ago. I don't know where the time goes to, but 2 weeks ago, today was the wedding of a very dear friend. Her daughter was in Eretz Israel, married a South African, and she's from London, and how the shidduch came about, and everything that we look into, that we can really look and say, wow, 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 because how does HaKadosh Baruch Hu do this? And sometimes it's easier to see it on other people rather than on ourselves. So what actually happened was on the Sunday, we all left early in the morning from Luton, and we were on a flight with lots of girls going to SEM, our son and many other boys going to yeshiva. And on the flight, they actually told us we were on the ground for 5 hours. They said the plane was too heavy to take off in bad weather. And I'm thinking, everybody knows, and every flight knows how much weight they're supposed to take on with them. So you don't put on more than, and they took away our hand luggage. So here we are, 5 hours delayed. We're watching them taking off. We don't know how much luggage, but luggage from the flight. And we land in Ben Gurion 5 hours late, and no baggage. You come to the carousel, and they say, don't even bother waiting because no luggage came off the flight. Okay. What I want you to look at is what we see, that every single person on that flight had something different that they had to be working on while their luggage wasn't arriving. But imagine being the mother of the bride. Your dress, at least the bride had her dress and her bag with her sheitel in it. At least that was. But most other people didn't have their bags, Some people didn't get their medication. Somebody took medication for a grandparent. All the different things that really would be there to affect each and every person. But every single thing was personal to each person. And that is where we look at, what does Hashem want from me here in this situation? We get to, we were stayed in a hotel. I'd gone with the mom and daughter somewhere. We get back home. The next day, we realize also my son doesn't have anything to sleep on. No linens, no things. Lots of same girls, no clothes, no anything. Everybody in their own different space. Monday becomes a day of running around shopping for all the mother, the aunt, the cousins, and everybody. Everybody needed clothes. And they're all running around, we're looking for our clothes. And we were fortunate enough to stay in a very nice hotel. And in the hotel, the next morning, there are a whole bunch of these beautiful ladies, a whole lot of them with their beautiful hair coverings and some without, jeans, stuff, everybody different, but all seem to be in a group together. And I'm going upstairs, I'm going in the lift, and I see, morning needs, I see that there are these 4 ladies, and the lift's not moving. The lift's not moving because they didn't know that you have to take your key and tap it on the lift and then go up. I learned the hard way the day before already, because I'm also standing, I press the lift, and then I'm thinking, the lift's not moving. Anyway, 2 of the ladies, I show them how to go up. 2 of the ladies step out, and I'm trying to see their little badges, what they're there for. So I said, yeah, shalom, what are you doing here? Like, what group are you on? And the one lady keeps a bit quiet, and the other one looks at me with a little bit of a smile, and she says, Anachnu amanot chadashot. We're the new widows. There's a group of new widows. And you know what happens? Anything and everything that might have seemed important just disappeared. I asked them if I could give them a hug, because what else can you do? I think that your pain when you're standing together with people, that we share the pain in everything that happens. And we shared our pain. We shared our pain. Needs, if you're there and can hear me, Zivet Bat, and you know, because I know her Kohen, and
Yitzchak Sion.
Yitzchak?
Sion.
Yitzchak Sion. See, I nearly said Yosef because of Jeanette. So Zivet Bat, Yitzchak Sion. They have an Aliyah and a Shamas, and she'll be watching over all of her children. And so here we are, we're standing in a totally new place. And you're standing there with these women, and you think everything just disappears. Nothing really matters, because their journey of where they are is part of who we are as a Jewish people. And now we're in this place of deep pain, but we can't sing. We can't sing. So what do? You've never met somebody before, and you say, well, can I give you a hug? Because that was for me, and hopefully for them. And around the hotel, whenever I saw these ladies, any of them, some with children, some pregnant, and some religious, and some not. And everybody is in that same focus space together, because that's who we are. We're a Jewish nation. The next morning, the next morning, we were down at breakfast, and I don't know, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this yellow band, which has Daniel Shimon Ben, or just says Daniel, bring Daniel Shimon home, Ben Sharon, and now Doron Eliezer. And I see that he's wearing it. So he's wearing like a Chabad kippah, you know, I always say when these guys, they wear these kippot with writing on it, it's like doing all that. But his face somehow just like, it had a bit of familiarity. So I decided I'm going to go over to him and ask him. And just say, you know, we're in this together, and, you know, do you know what's your connection to Daniel? And his wife says to him, just tell her, you know. And he says, what? He says, tell her. So he says, my brother's a hostage. So I ask him for his name. And you know, when you don't really hear clearly, but you don't want to ask them, sorry, you know, because we should be more familiar. And we asked who our farmer said, England, and he says that his brother is actually Bushy Shul have adopted his brother as one of their hostages that they do things for. And he'd actually been at Bushy. I said, okay, you know, but anyway, you know, again, I can't give him a hug, but I can give the wife. And we spoke a little bit. And then I went to check with Rebbetzen Feldman exactly which I got the Elkanah, but I wasn't sure of how they said the surname. So I wanted to make sure that it's the right person. So it's such an incredible thing, because your connection, again, automatically deepens. And on Mondays, we have a lunch and learn in somebody's house. And on her wall, she has these two pictures of two of the hostages. And it's such a strange thing. But whenever we learn, we always say that we're learning in the Zachus of. And then I realized that you don't pay enough attention. We only pay enough attention to the things that are brought out there in front of us. Everybody knows Hirsch Goldberg, Zecher Tzadik Libracha. Everybody knows our beautiful Gingy children. Everybody knows, like the people that are out there. What about those that aren't really? And when I suddenly look at this poster and I look closer and I realize that this is Elkanah Botbot, who is been with us for many, many months, every week in our Monday learning. And I was like, how does Hashem do that? That I merit to meet his brother and sister-in-law. I straight away message her. I send her a picture of the poster. And we're friends now. We message each other. I did a Hafrashas Challah on Thursday, sent her the picture. We did it in the morning. We did for baking for seed. There's my bowl from another Hafrasha, still with the yellow band. Thank you for putting that up there, needs. Because we are in a place that we need to be focusing on where we are now. And we have to look every single day and say, look what Hashem is doing for us. Look what he's doing for us. We know the work we've got to do. We don't know how we're going to get everybody out. We don't know what we're going to do, but we're not going to sit still or idle. We are going to make sure that we're working. I can't imagine how few days there are actually left for Rosh Hashanah. It means that Elul is literally coming to an end. Ani l'doidi v'doidi li. Hopefully, throughout this month from the beginning, we've been working on our connection with Hashem and telling him, talk to him. I'm doing this because, not only because I'm whatever kind of person, I want to be a better, nicer person. I want to do these things. I really want to be that thing that we call a tzedekah, somebody who is connected to Hashem. And whatever we do, we bring Hashem into our world. The fact that we are all sitting here today means that we want to do better. It means we want to be closer to Hashem, because we're born in this world to be closer to Hashem and to grow more and better as a person. That's what we're here for. Our journey is about that. That is what we need to be doing. And when we're here, you know, the closeness that we're going to have, and please God, next Tuesday, we're going to talk more about the tears and the actual davening and where we can put ourselves. Because Rosh Hashanah is such, this year, I mean, we're hoping already, for sure. Did I say Daniel's name? I don't think I did. Oh. Sorry, I just want to make sure somebody's having surgery now, as we going into surgery now, a young man of just 30. He's got one child and his wife's expecting him in 3 weeks. And his name is Daniel Binyamin Halevi Ben Mishket, or Mashket. I'm not sure. Sometimes we want to know where all these names come from. But then when we hear some of them, we'll hear somebody else who has that same name. So you should have a refuah shalema with all of the chaylim of Israel, because there are too many of them. So what do we do? Here we see these things, and what does it do for me? It puts me in a place where I've got to say, look what Hashem has given, and look how He protects us. If we had to count up the miracles that have taken place over this 11 months, more, we can't imagine the miracles that are happening and how Hashem is looking after us. But when's it difficult? When we look at all the challenges that we're having every day, every week, we're having more and more. This morning, our dear Dalia Resnick, who's usually sitting here with us at Share, whether she's working, whether she's with us, their flight today has been cancelled from British Airways. So I said to her, what are you doing? How are you getting back? So they're actually flying, she just told me, TUS Air to Larnaca and then BA to Heathrow, and they'd had to pay over £1,000. I just had somebody at my door this morning. She's flown in from Israel. She writes for one of the papers there, and she's come to interview somebody. She flew in Wizz Air. Wizz Air are now no flight today. It's unusual. They've been not flying all the time, but each person. Yesterday, there was a wedding in Yerushalayim of somebody here from London, and then many people flew out. So somebody told me already it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. About 2 o'clock in the afternoon, she said her daughter had been on the way for 30 hours traveling to get to the wedding. And the wedding, well, it was 2 o'clock here, and the chuppah was at 4 o'clock in Yerushalayim. Were they going to get there? Maybe for the dinner. Let's hope and pray. I didn't ask what happened, but let's hope and pray that at least for the dinner, they got to this wedding. And again, each and every person has their own journey, but we're in it together. We're there and we're in it together. Along the way, the most beautiful things happen. When you're in Yerushalayim, it's just a place of magic. We know what goes on. Imagine Eretz Yisrael. You look at Eretz Yisrael. How many people are we in Eretz Yisrael? Right? 8 million. And we've got 200 million surrounding Arab nations, everybody against us. Hezbollah should have wiped us off the map if it were natural circumstances. But you know, one of the things that I keep seeing this picture of the challah on my screen. And when we think about it, everything that we do is chutz min ha-teva. Everything that happens. The derech of the teva, chutz the derech ha-teva, is challah. When we mafresh challah, we are changing the way of the world. Just give me 1 second. Sorry. Sorry about that. I just had somebody at the door. So what do we look at? We see that the way Hashem treats us is different from the way He treats everybody else. I was talking to somebody in Yerushalayim this morning. She says, can you imagine that a rocket hits? Now, nobody wants to kill cows or chickens or anything for no reason. We don't do that. According to Torah, we don't do that. But how is it that a shed of cows and whatever is damaged and cows die instead of people? How is it that all the rockets are intercepted and those that fall in open spaces? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that their capabilities, it makes more sense for us to really know that Hashem takes it and pushes everything away. He says, you think you're going to get there? I'm in charge. And we have to know that and believe it. So I don't know how many of you know about my tambourines, but I have my tambourines up on my shelf. They should really be in my handbag. But I gained another piece of, I don't even play music. I'm very unmusical. I can't sing, I can't whatever, but the tambourines there, the symbol of Miriam. And then I'm in Geula looking for dresses. Can you believe it? My friend finds a dress for her daughter's wedding on the Monday that's actually nicer and looks beautiful, prettier than the dress that she had in her suitcase. So that was one. But everybody was in sneakers because they weren't going to buy shoes. I was the only one that bought shoes because I didn't buy a dress. I bought a dress from my mother's friend who lives in Shoresh. So I always thank Miriam, thank you for having a dress that fits me. And that actually looked like it was mine, not anybody else's. And we're walking down Geula towards Mea Shearim. And I just looked into a shop because that's what you do. I was actually looking for an address, and I thought I'm going to ask the person in the shop if they know where that address is, because it was a little bit difficult to find at the end of Mea Shearim. And she is sitting with this little drum, and she is painting on it. I don't know if you can see, she's painting on it, drawing, not painting. She's sitting there with felt tips, and she's painting on a picture of Keva Rachel. So when I see musical instruments that are connected to our Miriam and Keva Rachel, it's got to be for me. So I got her to personalize it and put my Hebrew name on it, which is Yael. And I now have another piece of equipment ready for us to greet Mashiach. So I said, you know what? Isn't that a beautiful thing to actually take to the wedding? Because I already knew I have my party trick that goes with me to every wedding. And my party trick is this funny little streamers I put in my mouth and somebody else pulls them out, and it's very cute and everybody loves it and it's lovely for the color. But my party streamers were in my suitcase and I didn't have my suitcase and they were in the bag. And I'm like, come on. So I think, okay, I'm going to get a little drum and I'm going to have the color name put on it. And as I'm leaving the shop, I think to myself, what about the color? It's not just about the color, it's the chosn as well now. I go back into the shop and the lady writes around the side of the drum, she writes Mazel Tov to Maya and Moshe. And what does she add? Only in Eretz Yisrael. Ad mea ve'esrim shana. And I think this is where we all need to be. And you know what happened? I left my drum in the hotel room. I forgot to take it with me. So I had a good laugh. But they got a present on their first night, Sheva Brachas. What are we doing here? And that's something that we have to all ask ourselves. You know, hopefully as many times as we can, and hopefully daily, we are blessed with Tehillim. And I always think about what are our weapons. Our weapons are our Tehillim, because we put Hashem into our Tehillim. Tehillim are rockets. And our rockets have Hashem in them. That's who we are. As a Jewish people, we connect on a level where we bring Hashem into everything. So when my suitcase disappears and doesn't arrive, it's because Hashem needs me to do something else. When my son's suitcase doesn't arrive and he hasn't got anything for yeshiva, it means that we've got to focus on staying calm. And it's a test from Hashem. My test from Hashem yesterday was when I was speaking to somebody on the phone with my headpiece so that I would be able to use my hands, and I was taking something out of the fridge. A tub of chicken soup that should have been put into the freezer fell out. And there it was. And I looked and I said, okay, it's Elul. So I used half at least a roll of the best paper towel, which always comes from Costco, that I happen to still have some at home. And I mopped it up. And I thought, thank you, Hashem. Because if you've done this to me for something, then my actions of what I've had to do for that have to be. So I just laughed. I said to my friend on the phone, I can't really speak now. Hashem loves me. He's testing me. And it should only be on spilt chicken. And while I'm doing it, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? You're slowly getting to that place where you're understanding that every little thing that happens is another little test from Hashem. And you know what? I'm much happier that it is chicken soup that is spilled, rather than somebody coming and testing my personal midas when they push a button that I don't want them to push up now. And I was very grateful for that. And that's where we are now. When I think about our hostages and I think about our soldiers, our chayalot and our chayalim. And every time I think about doing something because of the care package, because it's something that we need to do. And a few months ago, I went into Hasmonean Girls' School. And actually what happened before that, I have a friend who arranges challah makes and different projects for, hello, Dal, are you okay? In Yerushalayim, an extra day in Yerushalayim. Are you in the airport? So you're leaving already? Okay, we will.
Yeah, Valonica. We'll be home by midnight.
Okay, okay.
Lots
Travel
of love.
safely and just say, but Ezra Hashem will be there by midnight. Yeah, as long as we get on all the connectings. Now you see, doesn't matter where you are, even in the airport in Ben Gurion, Dals comes in with us because, yeah. So, and now I just lost my train of thought of what I was going to say. Anybody? Emma, what was that? Anybody? Neat, were you listening to me? What was my last sentence? I know we're on soup and then personal things. And, okay, it's fine. Let's go. So, where are we? So here we are, we're saying we're bringing Hashem, we're saying we've got the Tehillim, which are our Tehillim. Oh, I was going to tell you. So my friend arrived, somebody comes to pick up something from my house this morning, and she shows me a picture of her son on the bus that he sent last night when he's on the bus on the way up to the border, and he should just be safe. We've got too many friends that we all know, and too many friends that we also don't know, who are all in the situation. All of our family, all of Klal Yisrael, and everybody has got somebody who is struggling with something, and whether we are fighting and we're a hostage, to have been taken as a hostage to all the different things of the world, it is also a place that we daven for all of our Jews who have been taken hostage by all the different things in the outside world that they've been taken to, okay? So our work has to be that we're telling Hashem, every single moment of the day, we're going to do the best. He sent this picture on the bus, and he's got a picture of outside in the north, and they're just fire. And you just feel like the whole northern Israel is on fire and burning. It's not a simple picture, and it's not a simple place. And what we have to always be looking at, that Hashem knows we're going to come out of it, because we're going to have the Beis HaMikdash. We're going to have the Beit Shlishi, the third temple, and that is what is going to be there for us and never be destroyed. So we're living through the final stages of history, and we're given an opportunity now in Elul to bring Hashem into absolutely everything that we have. Not only in the things that we do, that we think of, but our mundane days of bringing Hashem and saying, you're here with me when I go and park, when I go and pay, when I need my card, all the different things. You know, I couldn't find, because I do this, I couldn't find my credit card, my debit card. So I came home to borrow my husband's. I always know where his is, and I couldn't find his. Then I had to come drop something off and come back. And then I couldn't remember his PIN number. So I had to message him, and I'm standing in line for petrol at Costco, because that's the best place to get your petrol. And I was going there anyway to get something. And I'm like, okay, Hashem, why are you doing this? And all we've got to keep, and again, remind ourselves, every moment that I build myself and I put myself into that situation, and I say, Hashem, we can do this together because we're in it together. And if one deed is something which is positive, forget about these phones. And if one mitzvah is something that changes the world, imagine if all of us are focusing only on this right now and saying, Hashem, you created this world. You run the world. Ein od milvado. There is nobody like you, Hashem. And you know what? You can do anything and everything. Anything and everything. So we think that he should be doing what we want him to do. But he actually knows what we need. And I sat with a friend of mine also yesterday, somebody I learned with, and we're talking about it, and she's like, sometimes it's relentless. It just keeps coming. You know, like as you think the waves crashed and there's not going to be another one comes. And I wanted to say, you know what? In each and every one of our worlds, that's where we are. We're in a time space when Mashiach is literally on the doorstep. The Yetzer Hara knows that he's losing his space now and place, and therefore we all have to be a lot more aware of this Yetzer Hara. Because when we look around the world and we see what the Yetzer Hara is doing and attacking, and having the best time because he's got a chap in now before he's kicked out of the world by Mashiach. And I saw something that Rabbi Manny Nissel spoke at a chinuch program at a conference. And he said, if we think that we should daven for our children just once a day, he said, forget it. Not once a day, every moment of the day, because there is so much, our children and our grandchildren and all the Jewish people, right? The Yetzer Hara is so strong and there's so much coming to attack. Every time they open their phones and they go on their, whatever they're going on, that is the literal negativity that is going into, and we should be davening very hard that we get rid of that. So what does Hashem give us? He says, during this time, what our Chazal, our rabbis tell us, during this time, what should we be doing? We should be saying, every single day, we should say, the Lord is my shepherd. What does that mean? Hashem guides me. Hashem guides us. But what do we have to do? We have to be able to see what he is doing and how he is guiding. And what does that mean? So says Rebbetzen, she says like this. Really what we know is that Tehillim is the source of solar that we have encountered that every spiritual person, right? Every spiritual person, and actually both Jewish and non-Jewish, go to Tehillim, right? And there, now I've forgotten her name. Beautiful lady. She was a convert, a black convert, and she has a book called, oh my goodness, her father was a priest. So she knew Tehillim off by heart. She used to come, and when she would speak, she would be saying the Tehillim in English. And it was like the funniest thing. Because, you know, when you say, and she learned to read, obviously, in Hebrew, but it was funny because she would come up because that's what she was actually brought up on until she recognizes all the inconsistencies of everything else that exists around that, not just, and that's where we go. So we go to our Tehillim, and says Rebbetzen Gottlieb that the 23rd Psalm is most well known as it is taken a very special place also in Western literature because of the universal message of simplicity that we trust in Hashem. We trust in Hashem. And this is where we are now. We look around, we could put up our hands and say, what now? What's next? But you know what we say? Hashem, you know what's next. What I have to do is go with your plan, not try and make my own plan. What I need to do is go with your plan, not try and go with my own plan. And that's where we are. What we're looking to do is to penetrate an exterior, and what we want to do is go inside. And maybe even from today, we need to write something down to ourselves. What do I want to be telling Hashem on Rosh Hashanah? How much do I want to crown him? How much do I want to tell Hashem that he has done for me? When we're going to talk on Rosh Hashanah, we're talking about elevating Hashem, crowning Hashem, not in Hashem's world and eyes, but in our own. Where do we put him? How do we put him? Right at the front of where we need to be. The most exciting thing this year is that we're back to 2 days of shofar blowing. And we'll talk about more next week, where that takes us. This week is preparation. We're only a week away. Tomorrow night, next week is Rosh Hashanah. Hard to believe that it has come so quickly. And it's hard to believe that we are in the situation that we are. But it is a very powerful time. This time, right now, we see that Hashem is making all his accounting takes place. And we all know, we all notice, come to the end of the year, and it's about life and death in reality. And that was decided. And then we have our finances. Hashem decided last year how much money we are going to have throughout this year. And he's going to make that decision again for us now on Rosh Hashanah. And if he would have said to us, and he shows you, right? He says, yeah, look, this is what I'm putting into your bank account this year. Use it well. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol na'aseh b'dbaro. This is what I'm putting into your bank account. Use it well. But every single day, Hashem gives us a new bank account. Every day. He gives us a bank account of seconds, of minutes, and of hours. And he says, look how you use it. How much time do we waste? And how much time do we really invest? And what do we use it for? And when we do have to, people say, chill, relax. No. We do things b'simcha, which is very important. And that's why we say, Ivdes Hashem b'simcha. And we do it b'simcha. It's not an ol. We need to get rid of the space of it's shver to be a yid. It is the biggest chesed to be a yid. Look how exciting it is to be Jewish. Look what a gift it is. We should be walking around. Somebody I met, we live right next to Hager's Shul. So there are many times that I have to run to Kosher Kingdom, which is also a few doors down, and will be just before they're closing, which is sometimes 10, sometimes 11, and sometimes midnight. And when it comes closer to the Chagim, even a bit later. And literally, it was near the beginning of the year. And I saw somebody that I know and whatever. I greeted them and we greeted them. I say, ask her, okay. He says, yeah, we've just got to put our head down and go. I said, what? How do you put your head down? Stand up straight. Walk up straight. Put your head up straight and say, I am a very proud Jew. Now, I have lots of things that I wear. I haven't even got the one that I usually wear which is upstairs with my extra yellow bow. But I've got my maps, one with the heart, one with regular. And this week in Israel, I actually bought one that has little fake diamonds on it, but it's a map of Israel. And why did I buy it? Because I went into a shop in Geula, and if anybody's ever looking for little things like that, there's a shop in Geula. And I looked in because he had all these beautiful little things in his window. And I thought I'm going to go in and have a look because I like all these maps. And I could needed a present for a bat mitzvah. And he tells me that he's a chayal, he's a soldier. He's been many times in and out during this last 11 months. And he was part of the group of people that took out Noah Gami. And you know what? I was like, okay, I just bought something. Because it was like, what do you do? What else can we do? I was very happy that I found another thing that I liked and another little necklace. But why do I wear them? And why do I have my yellow ribbon? And why do I wear my tag? Do you think I look at them and see them all the time? No. I wear it because it's an awareness for other people. And many people comment and people look. And even when we went to the King's Garden party, I had to wear it. Because I'm not going to walk around with that. And when I saw other people that I knew, even from the United Synagogue, they looked at me and said, oh, they should have worn theirs as well. I said, well, it's my clothing at the moment. And I hope that I'm going to take it off and not wear it from today. But we are where we are. And while we're in where we are, we've got to do what we can. And that's why I wear my yellow band. And that's why I have my Yafa Adar bracelets and bring them home. Because you know what? It's a reminder, a constant reminder. Because sadly, we need constant reminders. And we have to remind ourselves. And we talk about, so somebody looked at my neck, said, oh, you love Eretz Yisrael. I said, of course I do. Don't you? Of course we do. Because that's our home. And that's why we daven for it. And that's why we want to make ourselves closer to Hashem and want to say, this is now, we're coming to this beautiful time of Rosh Hashanah. Can you imagine if this Rosh Hashanah we have Mashiach with us? Can you imagine? And there are many people that are thinking, oh, I'm not ready for that. And I'm just going to say he's coming ready or not. So we really hope and pray that he's going to be there, place, that he's going to be there with us. And we have to want it and imagine it. And the more that we believe something, the more it's going to happen. And not be disappointed when it doesn't. Because it means we've just got to hold on a little bit longer. And we've just got to be better a little bit longer. And we've got to be kinder and compassionate. And I'm working on that. So I thanked Hashem. Thanks for spilling the soup so that I'd have to clean that, because maybe I wasn't. Maybe I'm not as compassionate as I should be to a lot of different situations. But let him test me on those things. And let's have those tests that we do. And when we look at David HaMelech and the simplicity of this beautiful place that he says, David HaMelech was a shepherd, says Rebbetzen Gottlieb. He viewed his early days, which he spent in solitude and meditation, as the best days of his life. We can all be the nicest people and the best of what we need to be when there's nobody else to push our buttons and test us. Okay? But what was his? His best place was just being in the closeness with Hashem, with Hashem's creation, with the land around him, and with the sheep. And what does he say? He says he was unaccompanied, but never alone. He was his sheep's shepherd, but Hashem was his shepherd. Hashem was the one who cared for his every need with compassion and love. If we remind ourselves, sometimes people work to get their money. Sometimes people get them through different places. But you know where everybody's things are coming from? Directly from Hashem. And the more we focus and the more we understand that, the better off we are. Because we know that that is the source of all. Everything that we have, that is its source. So says Rebbetzen Gottlieb like that, many of us dread even the most limited solitude. We try to avoid being alone, but isolation pursues us relentlessly. Everyone's life invariably has times in which we are alone. And for some people, as people even get older, it is a time of terrible, terrible loneliness. For others, even in the midst of productive careers and active social lives, they even feel this feeling of isolation, which is not an easy thing to have. But David himself sought out solitude. The hours that he spent in meditation and song were the sweetest of his lifetime. And the reason for this, to quote Shir Hashirim, is that he saw Hashem as his lover and his friend. Ani l'doidi v'doidi li. Surrounded by the beauty and the awesome silence of the pastures, he opened his heart as he never could in the midst of rough tumble with people's lives. At this stage, David was the happiest, and he composed most of his Tehillim, yet this was not the path that Hashem had chosen even for David, because that's not the way we live, and that's not the way we grow. Reminds me of, I don't know if everybody's familiar with Rabbi David Grossman. We used to hear much more from Rabbi David Grossman. We haven't for a while, and I wait to hear from him because he's an incredible, incredible tzaddik, somebody who grew up in the heart of Mea Shearim. And his Rebbe told him that he's not going to stay in Mea Shearim. When he gets married, he's going to go out to an outside community and build that community. Rabbi David Grossman was a Hasidic man. His shidduch was chosen for him, and he only had one question. Will you leave Mea Shearim? The first girl he dated, went out with, she said no. He said no. The second woman that he dated, he asked if she was happy to leave Masharim, and she said yes, and that is his wife of, I don't know, 50-something years. They live in a place called Migdal HaEmek. Rav Grossman is known as the living legend, and Rabbi Grossman is also known as Rav HaDiscotheque. Yes, the rabbi of the discotheque, because Rabbi Grossman went into discotheque and took men out, and he makarev them. He taught them about Torah. He would go to the prisons. Migdal HaEmek was a very poor place and a very high, very low level of living and a very high level of crime and all the things we don't want to know about. He has turned the whole community into a makom of Torah, a place of Torah and growth. He is the Rav of a community of 30 to 40,000 Jews. If you ever have an opportunity to go to Migdal HaEmek, you can see a thriving community and children and people that grown into people that came from, they can tell you the dregs of society and the deepest pit, but he took them out. And once Rabbi Grossman told the story where he was flown to some fancy place in America to go and be the Rav for the Shabbat, of Bar Mitzvah, and to give his droshes and to run the whole Shabbat. And Rabbi Grossman gets to this out-of-town place, and this beautiful hotel, and he suddenly realizes, as he's coming in, there is no way he is going to be able to keep Shabbos in this place. Wherever he's going to go, it's going to be electric lights, everything's going to be happening. There is no way. So he calls his host, and he explains to them that there's no way that he can live, that he can be out for Shabbos. And they're obviously incredibly apologetic, and they didn't think of all the different little things. Anyway, he says that he's going to spend Shabbos. He'll be with them until Shabbos comes in, and he'll go in just before Shabbos comes in. He'll light his candles, then his kiddush, they put some food, whatever he needed, into his room. And then obviously he'll be with them straight after Shabbat and Malama Malka and whatever they were planning and whatever they were doing. And he says it was one of the most beautiful Shabboses that he actually ever spent. Because he created his space. He knew what he had to do. He was keeping Hashem's Shabbat. But he had Hashem with him so close. In the room with him, his mirrors and his kiddush and everything, it was just him and Hashem. And whenever I think about that, I think about David HaMelech and Rabbi David Grossman, experiencing that closeness that you can have with Hashem wherever you are. One of the things that we did now when we're in Eretz Yisrael, I had to go to the Kotel a couple of times. Our son is Baruch Hashem learning in the Tiv area, which is on the Kotel Plaza. What an unbelievable thing. And I had to get to Kever Rachel. So my friend took us, and by the time we got to Kever Rachel, it was literally 20 past 10, and they let us in, but the whole place closes at 10:30, and then they get everybody out. They do security check and cleaning, and it's just to get people to stop actually sleeping in the place, and they clear everybody out, and then they actually open much later. And as we got to Kever Rachel, the father of the bride needed something from me. So I answered him, not thinking that I was going to have so little time. You're standing there and you're thinking, we're in the present. We've got Mama Rachel here. I'm like, quickly, I've got to talk to Mama Rachel. Quickly finish off the thing. And you're there and you just think, you know what? We're so blessed. We're so blessed. So one of the biggest powers of us as Jewish people and as Jewish women, more as Jewish women, because we've got an ability to access Hashem and bring him into every single part of everything we do. Whether we're cooking, whether we're cleaning, whether we're shopping, whatever it is that we're doing, wherever we are looking after grandchildren, it doesn't matter where we are, looking after our children, we bring Hashem into that moment when we need our dough, when we're teaching somebody, we just say, Hashem, you're here with me. And right now, Hashem's presence is closer than it usually is to Elul, and certainly coming now down Rosh Hashanah, and we need to make our plans for the Aseret Shiva, because this is also the last, where we are spiritually, when Mashiach comes is where we are. So we may as well try and speed up the process, Let's just make our awareness and everything closer. So what does he say? He says, this was the happiest time of David's life, but this wasn't what? The years of solitude formed the core of his character, but its highest expression only happened when he had the opportunity to take the person he had become and use it to guide his people. If we read a lot of the stories and the things that we know about some of our greatest of the great leading rabbis, a lot of them spend time in the closeness of learning Torah at such a level that the wisdom, the chokhmah of the Torah, not just the learning of the Gemaras and things, taking out the chokhmah, is what they use to elevate, to help them be able to guide the Jewish people. The people that were going to come to speak to them, to ask them questions, to get guidance in all the different parts of their lives. How did it come? It came through our Torah learning. And this is now this process which all of us want to take in. And says Rebbetzen Gottlieb, she also says, she says, one of our greatest scholars of the 19th century, the Malbim, presents us with the relevant parable. Once there was a king who wanted to prepare his heir, the prince, for his future role as ruler. The prince, however, preferred to live alone in the forest, to meditate and to draw himself closer to Hashem. He slept in a very small place, and that he had made for himself in the forest. One day the king sent his servant to start a fire that burnt his lean as well. When the prince returned and he found that he had no shelter, the servants told him that they'd found an abandoned shack not far from the area. He began to make the shack his home when another mysterious fire occurred, and another, each one leading him slowly back to his original home. He recognized that this was an act of love by which his father drew him back to the palace, not by force, but by letting him cultivate the spiritual traits that he wanted to develop, and then keeping them with himself forever, even when he dwells in the palace. And that's where we want to be. So part of our work really means that where it is, okay, what we want to be able to do, that this is where we want Hashem to guide us. We want Hashem to take us to the place. We want him to spiritually lead us. We want to be in the place where he puts us. I often complain, as my husband can tell you, about the fact that we left Eretz Israel and came to this wonderful place called Leeds, which holds a very special part still in my heart. On the 12th of September 1991, we came for 2 years. Do the maths. You'll realize that 2 years passed a long, long, long time ago. Okay? When I say to young people 91, they sort of like look at me as if like, oh my gosh, are you ancient? I met a girl in the shop in Bits of Glitz who sells all these lovely little things to bring our hearts closer, that we wear them outside to bring our hearts closer. What was she doing in the shop? She was looking for a siman, a sign that she could wear, one of the hostage necklaces or something that she could wear all the time on campus, but she didn't want a Magen David. And she's in her third year in university, and the chaplain, for anybody who's followed the story of the Leeds student chaplain, really had to have 24-hour protection because his life was actually at risk. That she'd gone back to live in Israel, but that was his journey as well. But it was so interesting because here was this girl, and I said to her, and I looked at her, I said, yeah, but my husband was student chaplain in Leeds in 1991 to 94, and I kind of like could see her head working. Oh my gosh, that's so long ago. I wasn't even born. Of course you weren't born because you're just a third-year student, you know. So where it is that Hashem puts you is where you make your own Yerushalayim, right? So wherever it is that Hashem wants us to be, we have Him with us. Wherever it is that Hashem wants us to be, we can still grow and we can still say we want our spiritual journey. Doesn't matter if we're sitting here in Manchester, in Edgware, wherever we are, right? Even in Golders Green. It doesn't matter that we are in that place, because what that place needs, even the place needs the holiness of what we do. And sometimes we become complacent because we are in a place that's so easy. I mean, you know, you just have to come visit Kosher Kingdom and you can literally have whatever you want that's kosher. It's why do we need this? So we don't. And we sometimes take it a little bit for granted. But what we have to be able to do is to look at ourselves and say, where am I in the picture? How can I make this picture better? How can I make Hashem a little bit prouder of me today by something that I'm going to do? It's usually at this time of the year that I used to get a call, in fact, probably on Sunday before, the Sunday that just passed, that would get a call from Lady Jacobowitz, Shalom, our beautiful Lady Amelie, to wish us a Shana Tova. And I always used to say to myself, call Lady J before she calls you. And as I would be saying such a thing, the phone would go, and who was it, Lady J? And you had your phone call. And I still think about starting and doing that myself as well, and I'm really not that good at it. But it's such a beautiful thing, and all four of her daughters together cannot make half of the phone calls. And I think they will say, yeah, it's already been a while, you know? But they looked and looked for her book, and a thing who did she call, how? Nobody found anything. But she knew she was called. And there are many people that when I always tell the story, and they'll say, oh, I got a call from Lady J. You know, she called me too. You know, I was her best friend. But everybody was her best friend. Because if you wanted a place in her heart, she gave you a place in her heart if you wanted. And that's Hashem. When she was Nifteris, when she passed away, her son said at her Levaya, my mother's heart is like the Beis HaMikdash. Anybody that wanted to be there, there was room for. The Beis HaMikdash is going to be a place of miracles. How is it possible that that place can host and accommodate so many people? But don't you sometimes see when you go places, like how is it possible that so many people could get into the place? You have a house, you get so many people for simchas, because anybody that wants to be part of the simcha is part of that simcha. So in Hashem, we should just be able to use this time and be aware of this time. And even in the day, if we're not, whatever our tefillahs, whatever we're trying to do, and whenever we're talking to Hashem, make it clear that we're saying, Hashem, I just want to be closer to you. I just want to know that I'm doing the best I can for you. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. Each and every one of us have our personal journey. And don't take on anybody else's journey if you can't do theirs the way we do ours. So let's work on that together. And as Hashem, we'd love to see everybody next Tuesday. We literally become closer and closer, and we'll be able to learn about our intentions for our davening on Rosh Hashanah, and certainly during the time of Tefillah Shofar. Okay, and I wish everybody a beautiful day, and thank you for being with us. And we look forward to seeing everybody soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. Have a good day.
Thank you.